actually worshipping one God? Or bringing back
yes, definitely you can bring it back to Tawheed. Remember the rule is that, your main talk is Tawheed, but what if someone has an issue that's really important to them? They need to know this issue, right? So then you address it, and then you can come back to Tawheed. Sister?
I'd say what you said yesterday, that even Quraysh who said about Prophet Muhammad is mad and so on, they didn't say here Muhammad married Aisha in the age 9. This means that it was normal in this age. And even my grandmother was married when she is 12.
MashaAllah.
So it's normal at maybe 100 years ago to marry in this age.
Ahsant. Very good. Very good. Excellent. We're actually going to get, don't worry, we'll come back to these and look at the arguments for the age of Aisha, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And then you can use any combination of them. Now, I want to do something about answering questions, and this is what I was so pleased with what Basit did. A lot of du'at think their job is to answer the non-Muslims' questions. That's it. Just like, the information booth, people come up and, where do I go, get my luggage? Yeah. Where do I go, my ticket? Over there. That's not what your job is. And so, do not just answer questions, and don't accept the premise of that question. So for example, let's take some examples. Someone will ask you, why, and this is actually here. And actually this is the way I worded it, but it was worded just like that, but from the brother who suggested it, and Ahmed wrote it down. Why, who would like to put their hand up and answer this question? Why does Allah need us to worship Him? A non-Muslim comes to you, why does Allah need us to worship Him? This was the question that was asked yesterday. Who would like to put their hand up and answer the question? Why does Allah need us to worship Him? Young man in the back? Oh, mashallah. Good man, that's it. You don't need to finish. You see what he did? He did it right, 100%. I don't care what he says after that sentence, he's right. He said, Allah doesn't need us. He was about to say to worship Him. There you go. You fix the question first, and then you explain. Don't say, because, and then you start, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ. No matter what you say, you're wrong. Because the non-Muslim still walks away with, Allah needs us to worship Him. And He doesn't. You fix the question first. Don't just answer. Someone asks you, can Allah create a four-sided triangle? And you start to answer immediately. I don't waste time with a question like this. I won't answer that question. Say, unless you're an idiot, the minute you have four sides, it's a rectangle or a square. No such thing as a four-sided triangle. What did you study? So, of course you don't really say that, right? But why would you start to answer a question like this? Or the other one about the rock. You know that one, right? They tell you, can Allah create, or can God create a rock that is so huge that no living thing can move it? And most Muslims are, yes. And they ask them, then can God move it? And of course people say, yes. That means He can't create a rock that is so huge that no living thing can move it, because He can move it. Then suddenly the Muslims are, what are you going to do? The problem is you put yourself in the wrong place to begin with. Don't start just answering questions. It's not your job to answer questions. The da'iyah, you guide them to the truth. You're not just here to answer questions and then they've got these little traps ready for you and you fall into the traps. So, and of course the answer to this question, tells you, can God create a rock that's so big that nothing can move it? No living thing can move this rock. Yes, He can create that rock. Then they ask you, can He move the rock? If you say no, that's a problem. If you say yes, He can move it, that means He can't create a rock that no one can move, because He can move it. It's just garbage. So then, and this is where do we benefit from this example? We benefit when they come and tell you, if God wanted to do something, can anyone stop Him? No. Okay, then He could have had a son. Just stop arguing. He could have had a son then. Who's going to stop Him from having a son? And that's why you tell them, with the rock, with the sun, tell them that Allah Azza wa Jalla only does things that befit His majesty. That's it. Allah Azza wa Jalla only does things that befit His majesty. And so, that's why when the non-Muslim comes to me with things like that, I'll ask them, can God lie? Can He steal? Can He murder? And of course they say no. Why not? Because He only does things that befit His majesty. So this you're talking about picking up rocks, moving rocks, all these are human characteristics that you're giving to Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah Azza wa Jal only does things that befit His majesty. So don't ask me about four-sided triangles, don't ask me about all these things. These are all things that deal with human beings, you know. And you're trying to give these human qualities to God, and you're asking these kinds of questions. So Allah only does things that befit His majesty. And it doesn't befit His majesty to have a son. You see? So, don't just get into the business of answering questions. And I think I told you the story during the Power of One conference about the guy who asked me, you know, why the Muslims grow their beards, right? I told you that one?
No.
Yeah, okay. I did. So basically, I mean, we were working at this company, a lot of Muslims, and this non-Muslim said to me, why do Muslims grow their beard? So again, you could answer, well, this is the way of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the way of all the prophets before him. But you know what? You shouldn't be asking me that question. You shouldn't be asking me that question, so I'm not going to answer that like that just immediately. So I said, look, I understand why you're asking me that question. Why do I understand? Because everybody shaves, right? That's why I understand. Everybody shaves, so you're asking me why I grow my beard. So I said, I understand why you're asking me that question, given the environment in which we live. But the truth is, I don't grow it. It just comes out by itself. You know? I mean, I don't put manure in the morning, go and lay out in the sun a little bit, and then put some rainwater on it, whatever it is, and hope it grows. You know? It just grows by itself. I told him now, because naturally when a male reaches puberty, he develops facial hair. And I told him, right now, if you tell a child, you give a child a piece of paper, and say, draw the face of a man, the face of a woman, the child will immediately add facial hair to the man, because males develop facial hair. And it comes out by itself, naturally. So it's actually the natural thing to let your hair grow. The unnatural thing is when you insist on removing every stubble of hair every morning, you know, and then cutting yourself, and then putting the cologne, and it all burns just so you can look like that guy in the commercial. You know? So he actually said to me, you know what? He actually said this, you're right. I never thought of it like that. You should be asking me why I shave. You see? Now, you don't have to accept what I'm telling you. You can just answer the question the way you want to ask it. You know, you can say, well, our Prophet grew his beard, and he commanded us to grow our beard, and that was the way of all the prophets, and then it sets you apart from the kuffar, it sets you apart from the women, and then you obeying the command of the Prophet, and that's it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just don't want him to be thinking in his mind that the norm and the right is what he's doing, and I'm the one doing something that's out of, that's different. No, I should be asking you. You're the one doing something weird. Alright? So anyways, so your job is not just to answer questions. But now when questions do arise and arguments do arise, what are certain ways that we can refute or explain away? So there are a number of ways. One of the ways, of course, you know, and you've probably all done this, and we did this yesterday with the question about the war. You know, most people die because of religion, and most wars in the world are because of religion. You can refute this. One of the ways you can refute it, as we did yesterday, using facts, using statistics, right? And of course, you've all probably done this, using science to prove something related to an act of worship. You've probably mentioned some scientific or physical benefits of fasting, and so on and so forth. So one, you can use facts, you can use statistics, right? And everyone see how you can do that? Yeah? Anyone confused about that? It's very clear, right? So someone give us another example where you can use a fact or a statistic or something to prove something. Like just now we did it with the age of Aisha. We're saying, as a fact, you have in some states 14 is the legal age to get married. We use a fact here. We use some kind of,
that drinking alcohol isn't harmful. So if you look at the stats that
it's not harmful?
Yeah.
I mean, the argument that it's
not.
Okay.
And you look, you say, well, just one of its harms, one of its like many related harms, is like drunk driving. I think it was 10 people died per week.
Okay. Did you guys know that fact? 10 people die a week from drunk driving? What is this, just here? Or?
This is
North America?
In the U.S.
In the U.S. Okay. So this is a fact. You see how you throw that fact in when it comes to alcohol? You can throw a bad fact to show something haram. You can throw a good fact about, siyam. You can throw another fact, another example. Yes?
An Albanian guy told me in Bosnia for every man there's 21 women. So if every man marries just one woman, it's going to be a problem.
And even if they marry 4, there's going to be a problem. We're going to have to help them by finding people that can. So he is using statistics to show the Sunnah of the Prophet makes sense. Another fact.
The average video gamer is 30 years old.
Oh man, that's a disgusting fact. Really? 30 years old? The average video gamer is 30 years old. They're fun. I hate video games. It's such a problem. Grown men. They've got blisters on their thumbs. Grown men. Yes, sir. Sorry, sister, I'll get to you. Yes.
The average age that in some places people lose their virginity is between 14 and 13 years.
There you go. That's a fact.
That's average, so there's obviously lower.
Yes, that's average. So you can throw that fact when you're discussing the whole Aisha thing. Yes?
I don't know the number exactly, but I researched about it. How many people died in the war because of the nuclear bomb in Japan?
Aywa, Jameel jiddan. How many people died at Hiroshima? 1 million? Not 1.5. Okay, 1 million. Fine. About how many people died in estimated World War II?
60 million.
60.
Yeah, the estimates anywhere from 55 to as high as 65 million people. So that's a fact that you're using. Yes, sir.
I just want to add to the brother's comment on the virginity thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, according to statistics,
Mm-hmm.
out of every 7 girls who are under the age of 15, before they graduate from the GCSEs, which is like a high school here, 3 of them are actually pregnant.
Oh, good luck. How about I'll add another fact here. Look at this fact, unbelievable. It shows you about how wicked zina is. They tell you that 82% of teenage mothers are themselves the daughters of teenage mothers. Isn't that amazing? 82% of teenage mothers are themselves the daughters of teenage mothers. And zina just keeps going down the generations, So, alright, another fact?
Among polygamy in the U.S., like 98% of them are men in jail, and plus science shows that women actually live 10 years more than men, and there's like 25 million gays in America anyways, so that's just considering statistics. So like I heard that if every guy and girl got married in America, there'd be 7.8 million women who wouldn't be able to get one.
7.8 million. Then you guys are going to have to help them out. So yeah. Yes, sir. Last one.
In World War II, the women in Germany, they were protesting for the men to have a second wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that right? Let's relocate, brothers. So we can stop this movement. I can't resist these kind of jokes. I looked up the whole Michael Jackson thing yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I might have to go to Bahrain, But there is a lawsuit of $4.5 million and everything. But if someone says the Shahada, that's it, right? So, anyways. Okay, so everyone sees now. Omar, you want to add
I
something?
just have a question.
You what?
Usually when I talk to people about like alcohol and whatnot, and I tell them it's haram and it's dangerous and it hurts the body, they usually tell me if you drink 1 cup of wine, it's good for the heart. And
Heart?
Yeah.
It should be liver. It's usually the liver. The study says the liver. That's good.
I don't know. I thought it actually destroys the liver, but it actually reduces the fat on your heart. Because one of the doctors in the US actually, he said he's not going to advertise on this wine, which was like a new product, and because of this fact, it actually destroys the liver.
Okay, fine. So once again, let me just answer the